You forgot the first rule of remakes, Jill. Don't fuck with the original.
Hey everybody! Endless Love, the remake, is coming out this Friday, and you know what that means?
Lionel Richie and Diana Ross are making a comeback?
Yeah, you wish. Actually, it means another episode of Don't F with the original.
With Nicholas, I'm the video game correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I'm Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic.com and movie critic. For those of you who are just joining us on our journey, what we do on Don't F with the original is that we take movies that are remakes, and then we watch the original, we review it, and then we talk about whether or not we're looking forward to the remake. That's what we do.
Indeed.
And Endless Love, for those of you who don't know, is a remake of a 1981 romantic drama directed by Franco Zeffirelli. I think he's an Italian director.
Probably.
Guessing. It's based on a book by Scott Spencer, but loosely.
Okay.
Which is surprising because it feels very literary when you watch the movie, but I'll get to that
in
the spoiler section, because the ending is radically different.
Good.
Essentially, what we have here is two teenage lovers. I think they're 15.
Well, one is graduating high school, and the girl is 1 year younger.
So 16 and 17. Then.
Yeah, something like that.
Jade, played by Brooke Shields.
Yeah.
And
David,
thank you, played by Matthew Hewitt. The girl is from a rich sort of hippie family.
Yeah.
And the boy is sort of from a more restrained working class family.
Yeah.
They fall in love madly. They spend the first half hour of the movie humping a lot, essentially.
Yeah.
The father of the daughter, I should say, catches them having sex and loses his fucking mind about it. And decides to forbid them to seeing each other, which is like always the greatest idea between teenagers.
Well, there's more to that, but we'll go more into details of what we get. But yeah.
There is more to that. That is true. And that detail is sort of what redeems a lot of the movie, actually. Yeah. Then David goes freaking bonkers.
Yeah.
Sets fire to their house. And then because this is a movie where actions have consequences, oh my god.
That's crazy.
He ends up, sentenced to 5 years in a mental hospital.
Yeah.
And then the movie sort of follows his progression, or lack thereof.
Yes, that's the main part. Lack thereof, yeah.
When he gets out, tries to get back in contact with the family, even though his sentencing says expressly that if he does contact them, then his sentence will not be a mental hospital.
Yeah.
And then things go twisty-twirly from then on.
It's probably why he was trying to keep writing letters to Jade, because he wanted to get out of the mental hospital into a prison, because the conditions would have been actually better for him. So, yeah, okay. But anyway.
What did you think of it?
I went through many phases in that movie. The first half hour, when they're establishing that, the two kids are in love, and basically maybe 75% of that first half hour is them basically air humping under the undercovers,
Yeah, and I mean, the actors are air humping, the characters are actually fucking.
But yeah, it's like, okay, you're in love, I get it, get to the point. And yeah, 34 minutes to establish that was very long. Then finally, when the father decides, okay, no, stop it, you guys, separate each other. There's the conflict there, hey, it starts getting interesting. And then the fire and then the mental institution, that was kind of interesting. That's how those characters might react, and I could see that. It only gets out, it's like everybody becomes crazy, and that's not how characters would actually act. I would not see people acting that way at all. So that the last part, I didn't really care that much for, because it's like, no, if you'd seen the guy that burned down your house, that's not how you not welcome him in your hotel room, and it's like, oh, welcome, I like you. It's like, no, that's not how you do it. Just, I don't see it like that at all.
I actually think it's possible. But I agree with you that the characters don't react like human beings would to an arson.
Yeah.
They react as characters do to almost an out-of-body experience. It's a really weird thing. And that's sort of the weirdness of Endless Love. And I don't say that as a pejorative. I agree with you. The beginning is a little bit painful, especially if you don't know where it's going.
Okay.
And you're like,
Well, I had read the synopsis that, the father is going to split them up. So I was just looking at my watch waiting. Dude, come on, split them up.
Yeah, but even then,
Yeah.
even then, the fact that the father splits them up leads to a formula movie, maybe, because
Yeah.
God knows Romeo and Juliet has been copied to death. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
But no, that it leads into an exploration of mental illness and of love as a mental illness, if you will. If you don't know that's where
okay.
it's going,
Yeah.
you're just watching, a very, oh, okay, they're in love, I get it, fuck you,
That's not how I sound at all. Okay.
But if you do know where it's headed, it becomes a little bit more interesting because there's a little bit of subtext going on here. First of all, I question whether or not Jade really loves David. Or if she's just having teenage puppy love. Like, I'm not saying her affection is not sincere, but I don't think it's as deep as what he's feeling for her. Because, she does something that teenage girls do in real life, which is she uses her first boyfriend to affirm herself as a person in front of her parents.
Yeah.
So, when the dad catches them having sex together, the daughter set it up for him to see, for the father to have seen it.
Yeah.
And David was not complicit in that, but David's going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to David. And if she really cared about David, she wouldn't have done that to him.
Oh, okay.
But she's more concerned with herself.
That's a good point.
She's more concerned with affirming herself as a woman independent of her father. And the father's reaction is a little bit over the top as well. Look, part of it is understandable. No father wants to see their daughter having sex in front of them. It's like, dudes, cover yourself. I'm willing to accept that my daughter has sex. That doesn't mean I want to look at it. Stop flaunting it, you dick.
Yeah.
But his reaction almost feels psychotic.
Well, he was very angry at it.
Yeah.
And his wife was like, come on, she's not going to be your girl for the whole time. And, but I think he loses it when Jade tries to steal sleeping pills because she's having sex all night, so she can't sleep. And she's like, she just needs, pills to go to sleep. And that's when he's like, okay, no, whoa.
Yeah.
You're going a little too far here.
Yeah.
And that's when, I feel perfectly fine, with his reaction of, he didn't even say, okay, you two are never seeing each other again. He basically said, finish the school year and we'll talk about it in 30 days.
Well, that's the compromise he came to with the mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, so that was, to me, perfectly reasonable. But, at that point, which the movie picked up for me, which I really liked, you could see those two, lovers basically acting like kids.
Yeah.
And it's really like, this is my room. I can do whatever I want in my room. And it's like, have you thought this over? Your room is in their house. They're your parents. No, you do what your parents want you to tell you.
Yeah.
And when he announces it to the kid, that, you can't see my daughter anymore. He's like, we're not young kids anymore. He takes, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me noticing it, but he took the whiniest voice he could and said, it's not fair.
No, and it's on purpose. It's on purpose.
I just lost it. I was just laughing. I was like, oh my God. And it's like, it's not only, she's not just a kid, he's also a kid. And it's like, there's just two kids in love. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is getting interesting, and and that's what I really liked.
I agree. Endless Love is about young love. It's about your first love.
Yeah.
And it shows it as what it is. It's two kids in love. It's not two adults in love. They behave like kids.
Yeah.
I will say that the father's a little bit psychotic in the way he announces it to the boy, to David. I find it was like, no, you can't go in. It's like, what can I? Yeah, well, what's going on? It's like, get out. And I'm like, I think a reasonable adult should have been like, say your goodbyes.
Yeah.
And wait 30 days instead of being like, it's your fault that my daughter's taking sleeping pills. No, it's your daughter's fault. Your daughter's a little bit of a bitch.
Yes.
And she's a little bit of a bitch because she takes after her mother. Her mother, the daughter tries to take the pill, the father loses his shit, which he should. That's really dangerous.
Yes.
She doesn't even know what she's taking. And the mother is like, why don't you let her take the pill? Like, are you crazy? And it's consistent with her character, because she's like, I don't want to be a mother. She says it all the time. Oh, you're making me act like a mother. It's like, Well, that's the responsibility you took when you had a child. Be a mother. If she had a mother, maybe your daughter wouldn't be so fucking irresponsible.
Yeah.
You know? And then when they grew up and he gets out of the mental hospital, you mentioned that, you know, he comes back and then the mother of Jade welcomes him into her home and you're like, that's not how people react.
Yeah.
But the thing is, she wants to be Jade because she doesn't want to be a mother. She wants to be the daughter forever. She wants to be a child forever. And so she tries to seduce David.
Yeah.
And the reason why she's so easy on David throughout the entire movie is because she saw Jade and David have sex, and she wanted to be Jade at that moment.
Okay. Yeah.
And the reason why the father's so the opposite, you get the sense that he saw Jade and David F, and he wanted to be David, and that repulses him. Whereas Jade's ultra-liberal mom sort of embraces that and just goes ahead and tries to violate David.
Yeah.
A mentally unstable child. Like, this woman is a bad person.
Yeah.
The reaction of Jade's father is to have that same sort of feeling as like he sees the two kids fuck and he's like, I sort of want to fuck Jade too. And he's like, oh God, I can't believe they made me feel this. Fuck that boy.
Yeah.
And that's why he reacts so over the top when he sees David again. In a reaction that's like, dude, like, calm down. There was a more mature way to react. But he's fighting his own, like, almost incestual instincts, if you will.
Okay.
And it's also why, you know, after the ordeal, he divorces his wife, Jade's father, divorces his wife, and goes with a much younger woman. They make a point of mentioning that.
Yeah.
And I think there's a mistake in the casting. They should have cast a woman as his new wife there, who looks more like a Jade.
Okay.
To sort of accentuate what's going on.
Maybe they couldn't find any actors with bushy eyebrows like that, so they figured... but yeah, okay, I can see what you're saying.
You know, and that's the thing. I think what the movie is going for is something very symbolic, which is that young love is so powerful that it's like a mental illness.
Okay.
And people who are faced with it are either corrupted by it or inspired by it because it's so strong and powerful.
Okay.
David's father has a scene where he sees them riding a bike.
Yeah.
And decides to leave his wife after that. So it's like that's the power of young love. It can inspire. It's so pure. It's so powerful. But it can also corrupt, like it did to Jade's family. It drove everyone nuts.
Yeah.
Some people are afraid of it, like Jade's older brother, played by James Spader.
Yeah.
Who keeps trying to belittle it. Oh, you're just fucking my sister. You know, he's just like, he keeps trying to belittle it, not take it seriously, because he's intimidated by the power of their love.
Okay.
But what's great about the movie is that he goes in that direction, but then also switches around and goes like, but is such a powerful thing really healthy to your life? And in this movie, fuck no.
Yeah, no, it isn't. One thing I also kind of liked, you know, is that you see that David has not even grown up, even after he's in the mental hospital and everything, and he's still, he's still asking his parents, you guys need to get me out of here. And it's like, that's not how it works. You need to get yourself out of there, your parents. And, it's not up to your parents to do everything. He's getting out of the mental hospital. It's like just as a kid again. And he goes back to, I'm still a kid, still trying to find Jade. And yeah, it's just, he has no growth whatsoever throughout the whole movie.
No, he refuses therapy.
Yeah.
They show him always going like, I don't feel like it. I was like, well, that's 3 days in a row. And I'm like, you are the worst mental hospital ever. Force the boy into the room.
Yeah.
But, or don't let him out. It's like he has to go through the therapy.
Exactly.
The boy is crazy.
Yeah.
The boy is mentally ill.
Yeah.
Even when he tries to get Jade back at the end of the movie and she surrenders to him.
Yeah.
It comes close to rape. Like, just close enough to make you wonder, what the fuck?
I figured that scene was very rapey, honestly. It's like, she's also kind of unstable too. She's like, he's the guy that burned down my house. He kind of attempted rape on me. He's like, oh, I love you now. It's just, I don't know.
Well, look, the way she went to rummage into into her father's office to look for meds, as if like, she's 16, she should know that you don't just pop a pill randomly and then cry, what? Just give me the pill. It's like, no, that girl's fucked up too.
Yeah.
And yeah, and well, the burning of the house, I think I would be willing to see it as like it was an accident because it does feel like an accident the way I watched it.
Okay.
And I'm willing to see how at least some members of the family are capable of looking at it that way, and other members of the family don't.
I don't know, because we get, he gets the idea from Billy, which Billy played by Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
His first role. And Billy tells a story about how when he was a kid, he tried to, set fire to a stack of, wet newspapers, and it kind of didn't get that well. But, he was looked as a hero because it made it look like he was trying to put the fire out.
Yeah.
And I figured that's what he was trying to do, just, start a fire and, then try and get the fire out and, be the hero so that, the family would look at him, in a positive way, and he would get to see Jade again. The brother was the only character that I felt was like, the whole way I was like, well, okay, he's acting like a normal person, basically that David is creating a lot of, heartache in his family, and he's creating a lot of fights and everything. He's just, okay, no, you get the hell out of there,
Yeah.
And I can totally see that as normal acting.
David's parents are also really fascinating characters to me. The father is being as supportive as humanly possible,
Yeah.
and almost to a fault where I think he should be smacking David in the back of the head a little bit more, but at the same time, he doesn't know how fragile his son is, so he's afraid of doing it, so I understand why he's like that as well.
When he goes to New York to find Jade, which when you're on parole, you're not supposed to leave the state.
Yeah.
And, his parents are, I don't know, that their only reaction is like, oh, he should have been back from New York, but now I hope he's not in trouble. It's like...
No, that's not true. They're deadly worried.
Well, they're worried, but
They're
still,
deadly
they should have
worried.
they should not have let him go to begin with. It was ridiculous of them to do that,
I don't think they could have stopped him. I think the mother probably tried to stop him and didn't succeed. I have doubts about the father.
Yeah.
But I think the mother, they set up the character that she probably tried to stop him.
Okay.
Because she doesn't like that family. She doesn't like that girl. She,
Yeah,
she's not happy with any of this.
that's true.
But what I like about these characters is, and again, in relation to what love is, they've divorced. They have nothing to do with one another anymore.
Yeah.
But they still function as a loving family in front of David, even though they've divorced.
Yeah.
And that's sort of a nice detail about the nature of love and how complicated and what grown-up love is like compared to young love, the so-called endless love.
Yeah.
It's an interesting exploration and criticism of romanticization of young love. We all view Romeo and Juliet as this powerful thing.
Yeah.
But if you look at Shakespeare's play originally, it's framed in the context of a curse.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
everybody dies. That's always find it funny when people talk on their Facebook or something about their boyfriend. Like, oh, we're like Romeo and Juliet. And I was like, well, you have a few days left to live. What's happening here?
But we tend to romanticize young love because it feels that powerful, and there's something beautiful about that. And the movie's not denying that, but it's also going like, yeah, it's also terribly unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I think I like the movie because of that statement and the way it exposes that in such an uncompromising way.
Okay.
But let's get into the nitty-gritty of the things, because I know you had a couple of nitpicks and details to sort of mention.
Okay. Well, there's one thing I like, though, is, a little spoiler here, that when the father sees David and he crosses the street, gets hit by a taxi.
Yeah.
That was a sweet stunt, honestly.
It is fantastic!
I know. For a movie like that, the stuntman did that, like a whole flip on himself after being hit by the car. It was like, and that was not CGI, not nothing. Yeah. It was like, wow, that was, for a movie like that, not expecting that. It was just expecting maybe he gets, hit by the taxi and falls down. Like, no, went all out there. It's like, that's spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
But now, going to nitpicks now, they play like I Was Made for Loving You, like Kiss, and then Heart of Glass. And I was like, well, this movie's really picking up. And I was looking kind of forward to what they were playing. And they only played Endless Love every 3 minutes for the rest of the movie. Like, that song was driving, it was just the instruments, that was just driving me crazy. Endless Love every 3 minutes. I don't know what the concept was, but...
But I think if you pay Lionel Richie and Diana Ross to write you a song, you're going to use the fuck out of it, I think is what it comes down to.
I guess so, but, I mean, my God, like, the end of a scene, Endless Love, the end of another scene, and it's like, okay, enough with this, enough. Seriously.
You mentioned the music, it made me think of the party scene.
Yeah.
And that's another part where I want to give an example as to how you can sort of identify with David, even though he's batshit crazy. Because he wasn't going to do anything. He was just going to stare at the party at Jade's house. And then he got really mad because there was like this big party and like there's this drunk dude totally putting the moves on Jade.
Yeah.
And he's like really mad about that. And
she was very, very nice and not doing anything.
No, she was not. She was not.
From her body language, you could see that she was just, okay, you're a nice person, but I'm not interested. She was not doing anything forward to him. You know, she was just, okay, bye now, and closing the door. And that was it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And what I find interesting is you can really identify and relate to David in the sense of how fucked up that must feel for him. Not the jealousy part, because I don't even know if he is jealous. That they don't explore that, so I'm assuming he's not. But how angry it must feel for him to like, I'm a bad influence on Jade because I love her and I'm devoted to her. So you're going to keep me away from her so that she can maybe hook up with a drunk bastard who's probably going to date rape her because he's drunk and it's the 80s. And like, it's a lot for a 16, 17-year-old to sort of have to process that that's not how the parents think.
Yeah.
But for him, that's how it feels, and that's probably how the parents think in his mind, and that's a lot for him to process, like, how unjust that is.
Okay. I figured he just saw that, as like, he saw that, she was not interested, but, people making move on her. I figured, okay, now I need to do something about it, so, I will implement, arson plan number 1, see if it works.
All right, let's get into spoilers, because
okay.
I know you want to talk about the ending, and I do too, actually, because it differs from the book, and I think that's where the movie gets it a little bit wrong.
Okay.
So, if you haven't seen Endless Love, and you do want to see it, do you recommend it?
If it's not my type of movie, but I still find parts of it enjoyable. Be ready if you watch it. The first half hour is mind-numbing, so grab a good, grab your phone and play, Bejeweled or something. After that, it picks up, it gets good. You might find the characters acting not as annoying as I do, so yeah, I would recommend it.
Yeah, I liked it more than you did, but I'm also ambivalent, because I feel, these are really complex ideas being developed, and some of it is really well developed, and some of it is not.
Okay.
And so what I would say is that a movie called Endless Love might attract younger viewers and not older ones. And actually, I would say if you're older, watch it, you might be interested. Mm. If you're younger, don't. The only thing you might get into it is if you're into girls, you might find young Brooke Shield extremely beautiful, because she's very beautiful. She reminds me of Keira Knightley, actually, at that age. I was surprised, like, oh my god, you look like Keira Knightley, except less British. By which I mean less petite.
Yes, yeah.
But all the themes going on there, I'd be concerned if you're letting your kids watch this at 13, 14, 15, that they might draw the completely wrong conclusions.
Basically
from
that, David is the hero of the story, and it's the world against David, and nobody understands David, which is completely not what the movie is about.
Yeah, and unfortunately the movie is ambiguous and enough that you might come off the movie feeling that way, because there's a lot of scenes with characters talking about how inspiring their young love is.
Yeah.
And the movie says it is, but at the same time, there's a flip side to it. Your kid might just grasp onto what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into spoilers.
All right.
Go ahead, Nick. What did you want to talk about it specifically about the ending of Endless Love?
Well, you're talking about this whole, this is like first love thing, and it's all nice, and it's your first thing, but after he's been in that mental hospital for 2 years, she has moved on somewhat.
Possibly more than 2 years, because 2 years when he begs his parents to get him out.
Exactly.
And then that can't have possibly taken 2 days. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
We'll bring the car around. You jump out the window. Okay. Then, there's an incident, and he ends up back probably in jail, or back in the mental institution, either or.
Yeah.
And she's like, she goes to visit him, it's like it seems weird that she's still also not moving away from her first love, and it's like still, can't she start realizing that guy's a little cuckoo, and that you'll find love somewhere else if possible? It's I don't know.
Okay, well, there's several things here that's worth talking about. I'm really glad you brought this up.
Okay.
First, is falling in love with a mentally ill person such a bad thing? Like, does mental illness mean that you don't have the right to love?
I don't know, when that mental illness kind of causes the death of your father.
No, the father caused the death of the father. No, that's one thing, though. Like, all David did was exist in his vicinity.
Yeah.
The father was the moron in that scene.
Still,
He can't be blamed for this. He cannot be blamed for this.
But mental illness, almost killed you by burning the house down.
That's a better point.
Yeah.
See, that's a better point.
And, start, kissing the mother so you can get the address for where you live in Vermont.
He didn't kiss the mother so he could get the address.
No.
He tried to get the address from the mother, and then the mother sexually assaulted him. That's not the same thing.
Still, there's kind of what you would call baggage, related to this relationship.
The second thing I want to bring up is that what happens? Because the mother of Jade gives Jade a big speech about you're going to have to decide for yourself what you want.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Jade walking to visit David in his mental hospital / prison.
Yeah.
And then the movie cuts, credits.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know what she's there to do, because there are two things that she could be doing. The most likely one in most people's mind, I think, and therefore the most likely interpretation, is that she's there to resume her relationship with him.
I guess.
Which,
Yeah. Yeah, my reaction exactly.
Yeah. Was the sound of me vomiting, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. My pants are going to need cleaning now.
Yeah. Next time you won't leave them next to me and you'll wear them.
Yes.
The other possibility, though, in fairness, is that she's there to break up with him to allow him to move on.
Okay.
Because we don't know what she's there for. And to a certain degree, an argument can be made that she owes him that much.
There's also possibility number 3 of what she's doing at the hospital. Maybe she has an appointment, because she's also kind of loony, so you never know. But yeah, okay, no, I see what you're saying.
And so, in fairness, if it is the second one, and you can interpret it as the second one, I'm not saying it's the most likely interpretation. I feel that most people will come up with the conclusions you did, but you could go with the other conclusion, which then the movie works perfectly fine.
Yeah, but it's because the conversation she had with her mother beforehand was like how she really loved him, and she kept talking about how she loved him, and whether you're gonna have to decide for yourself.
Yeah, but you have to decide for yourself what's good for your life. Is essentially it was more or less what the mother says.
Good point.
It's like, and maybe that's the point of the movie. Yeah. That love will never go away. It's your first love. You'll remember it for the rest of your life. But is that what you want for your life?
Yeah.
And maybe the answer is no.
The mother should be one to talk, though. But I mean, that's.
And I feel that the movie made that ending on purpose, probably because maybe a test audience or the studio wanted to give the couple a happy ending.
Okay.
And the filmmakers sort of didn't really. So they created that sort of ambiguous conclusion so that they could feel as like, no, she's there to break up with her. But then when the studio asked, like, hey, you didn't have them end up together. Oh, sure, she's coming to see him. Yeah. It feels very compromised. The source material, the novel, and I'm about to spoil the novel for you people. Okay, they don't end up together.
Good. I don't like it, those endings where, it could be anything. You choose, Like, for example, Inception, It's like, is he in? Is he out? What's happening with the top? It's like, no. Tell us what's happening. Don't leave it to the audience. You had an idea in mind. Go with it and tell us what it is. If people don't like it, well, it's, too bad, but that's your story. Go with it, please.
Yeah. I mean, unless ambiguity is your point. Let's talk about the remake.
Okay.
Endless Love, 2014. We both saw the trailer together.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Like, are you interested in this at all?
It doesn't seem like it's following the first one at all. I mean, I did not see any traces of, craziness in, the David character. It's mostly really the father that's, just trying to separate them. So he's looking according to what the trailer says, looking into, the guy's history and finding if he's a criminal or not or whatever. And I don't know, it really seems in this one like, it's the two teenagers that want to be together and it's the world against them. It's pretty much like, Twilight almost, Romeo and Juliet.
I will say that the only thing that betrays that feeling, which I agree, is what the trailer shows us, is the music. The choice of music that they show is very eerie, ominous music, as if something thrillery is going to happen.
Okay.
And that's the one thing that betrays that feeling. And I'm wondering if we don't have here a very respectful campaign that they don't want to spoil what's going to happen.
Okay.
Because that feeling of unease,
and
then the word endless love makes me think, okay, you're not going for a happy ending, romantic comedy bullshit. You're going for something eerie.
And anyway, it's a trailer, so the scenes we saw could probably have been in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
So, thinking about that, it could be, instead of, like the scene we didn't quite like about the father saying, no, you can't see my daughter, go away. Mm-hmm. No, you can't even talk to her, go away. He's just, you probably can't do that with teenagers nowadays anyway. So, because of social media and everything, you'll see that they'll see each other nonetheless. But he's trying to find some dirt on the kid so that he can tell his daughter, hey, he's a criminal, so don't. So that again could be just the extension of don't talk to my daughter.
Yeah, and the background that he finds that why he doesn't want the kid to see Jade.
Yeah,
might be a history of mental illness.
That too.
Or a history of arson.
There was a fire at the end of the trailer, so again, they're keeping that.
Yeah.
I wonder if Tom Cruise will make a cameo appearance. That'd be awesome.
Look, I feel that the original film, 1981 film, sort of deviated a little bit too much from the book. I don't think every change is bad.
Okay.
I think some of the changes are interesting, but I do feel that there could be an argument to be made to make the book into a movie, the actual book into a movie, because it could be a powerful movie.
Okay.
And that justifies a remake. And everything I've seen from the trailer, it seems that it's a trailer that's holding its cards close to the chest. It doesn't want to reveal what's in the movie.
Yeah.
And that means that maybe they are going into a direction that they don't know how to market, which would be the weirdness that is the source material. And that's a good sign in that case.
Quite a coincidence also that, Valentine's Day is on a Friday this year, so Endless Love, perfect release for Friday, Valentine's Day. It'd be kind of disappointing for people who maybe try and think of going that, on a date or something, and it ends up being,
Good God. Can you imagine?
Yes. Oh, this is going to be endless love. It's going to be like a couple getting together, and their love's going to be magical. And it's like it ends like
mad like black magic.
Yes.
All right. So next week we will be reviewing About Last Night.
Okay.
Which is coming out this Friday at the same time as Endless Love, and that's an actually true blue romantic comedy. So again. Maybe there's a chance that Endless Love was counter-programming.
Yes, people are going to get shocked, though, if they were expecting a romantic comedy and end up with that, and, it ends up as bad as the original. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of couples going like, should have seen About Last Night. God damn it.
And the guy saying, we should have seen RoboCop, damn it.
Oh my God, yeah. The boys are all that. But, About Last Night is mostly black actors, the remake.
Okay.
And so, if you're a racist couple, you might not want to see About Last Night just because it's a black cast.
Yeah.
And you're going to see Endless Love and get depressed. And you know what? Serves you right.
Good point.
Yeah, in your face.
Nice.
Anyway, if you have any questions, comments, you can write us at mail@idiomatic.com or post a comment at idiomatic.com. We're also on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. We are also on YouTube. We're also on iTunes. If you could write us an iTunes review or like us on Facebook, we would be very grateful. It helps us get the support to continue generating content of ambiguous quality.
Nice. Very nice.
Otherwise, I will have no choice but to burn down Nick's house and then run in and go, hey, where's James Spader to punch me in the face?
My house is made of brick. It won't burn as well, though, so it might be hard.
Yeah, we are in Canada,
That's true.
Yeah, wood houses not quite as common as they used to be.
I know. We'd be freezing our asses off, so thank God for that.